One of the two most important stories that I like to reflect upon is this extraordinary story of Abraham and Sarah. They're camped out in this place called Mamre, and there are these trees. 3 mysterious guests show up, some kind of divine manifestation of the Lord. This encounter happens in this very domestic context, and there's like bread, and there's food, and there's a table integrated with this idea of the divine showing up. One of the reasons I had in going to Afghanistan was the hospitable culture that was there. I could grow as an American, as a Christian, by sitting at the feet of these Muslims, these Afghans, and learn more about hospitality and be a better Christian for it. So I took a job as a project manager building houses for returning refugee populations. The security situation there devolved, and we realized that we were not able to stay. Once I was reconciled, or begun to be reconciled to the idea of staying here, I was wondering about how we could turn that around in a creative, meaningful way, except that in this context I'd be here in the U.S., finding a way to help refugees as a host. I came across a few of these house-based hospitality ministries in Ontario, and I ended up going up there and spending nearly a year working and living at Matthew House in Toronto. And that started a process which has led me back to Boston in the past couple of years with the mind towards setting up and establishing this sort of refugee house here in the Boston area. I heard the really fascinating and welcome news that there was a group out of the Emmanuel Gospel Center that was looking into refugees and how we could take care of them.
So housing is a critical piece. It's a systemic piece that really threatens refugee resettlement in Greater Boston. So we're really excited about this notion of a Christian hospitality house. And so this would be a residential house that refugees could kind of have a soft landing, and as they come into the Boston area, where they could come and settle in a very supportive Christian community, and to help them make the transition into life in the Boston area.
We're now coming towards the end of a feasibility study this past year. So our hope is that in 2018 to see the establishing of a community as well as the actual house itself. A house like this is a way for people to make a transition, to be stabilized, to be encouraged, equipped, to get counsel for how to take on the next phase of the journey.
A number of refugees have said to us over the years that when I came to your home, it was a first night that I slept well in months or sometimes even years. And I really believe that living in a place like this, a house, a home, that refugees really do begin to experience healing.
A refugee house presents a really great opportunity to help refugees in a number of different ways. You can come and visit, just hang out and get to know people. You can come and cook a meal. You can come with us on a cultural field trip. It is also a way of putting a bit of a step forward. It's a bit of an adventure. You are allowing for interruption. You're allowing for things that are unpredictable. Radical hospitality is an attitude. It's a context by which we not only welcome the stranger and the alien, but it's a way that we deal with people who we disagree with. There's a natural tendency for us to look at those people who are critical or opposed to hospitality for refugees as being a problem. I think we also need to recognize and listen to such people, taking a posture that says, okay, I'm going to make time and space to try to feel and to understand where you're coming from. There is this horizontal dimension, right, where we are a service organization. We take care of people, we do practical things, we develop relationships. We want to learn how to love each other as fellow human beings. But there's also this vertical dimension to it. A house is a place where God can show up. There's this way in which we can love God and be loved by God in a household setting.
You know, this is the setting. This is it. This is the ideal. We don't have to book an office. We can sit around the fireplace. We can sit around the table, breaking bread together. All of these things are not only possible in the home, but they're superior in a home.
Rather than see this house, or this vision, as being sort of an exotic, special thing, I ask, why should it be special? What I really would like to see is that within 5 or 10 years or more, that this is not a special thing. This is not strange or wonderful, that becomes a typical thing. This is what those crazy Christians do. They have these hospitality houses. And so I would like to see this as a normative expression of that flows naturally out of who we are.